It's Jack from B&T MacFarlane, and today we're going to be putting on a front blower on a BX tractor. I'm here with Mason. He's going to give me a hand, and we're going to put it on and take it off for you today. Hopefully it makes it a little bit clearer. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. So if you have a BX 2380, this is going to be great for you because I'm doing it on a 2380 with a front Kubota snowblower, but virtually all Kubota tractors with the new K-Connect style hitch are going to be identical. So if you have a B series, it'll be the same. LX series, it'll be the same. Any other model and snowblower combination on a BX, again, will be identical to this. On the B and LX series, it might just be a little bit different in terms of what this hitch looks like, but the steps are the same, the process is the same, and all the pins are going to be in relatively the same location. So you are able to reference this video for doing those tractors as well. So this is what I like to do. I like to lay everything out in front of me, what I'm going to be putting on. So you have your front K-Connect here. So that's actually what's going to raise the blower up and down. You have your PTO shaft that's going to connect the PTO shaft of the blower to the middle of the tractor in the mid PTO. And then you're going to have the front snowblower itself. So we always start off by hanging this on the front of the tractor. So you'll see these two hooks here. You're going to want to put those hooks on this part of the tractor. It's easier with two people, but Mason's pretty strong, so he's able to pick it up himself, hang it right over top, just like that. And then once that's on, we're gonna actually take this pin and put it through that hole right there. That's gonna go through the whole frame of the tractor. Then we're gonna put the pin right through the entire frame and harness of the tractor. Sometimes it's a little tight. You can put grease on this pin to make it just a little bit easier. And then Mason's gonna grab the cotter pin and then hook it through the other side. So there we go. Now the actual connect is hooked up to the tractor. So now you're able to actually put these hoses on. So now this is going to control the up and down on the blower. So white to white, yellow to yellow, they're all color coded. And they're all flat face too, so you just push them in. 1 and 2. For video's sake, I'm just going to leave these out, but if you were doing it for the whole winter, you would actually thread these through each one of these hose holders here. This is a pretty challenging part of the whole install process. So if you can only put 2 in, that's fine. And then you can take your other 2 hoses that are mounted to the blower, zip tie them here so they stay out of your tire. The next step is always going to be to put on this PTO shaft. This is probably one of the hardest parts about putting on the tractor. Something that you'll have to note is that it's much easier to put it on this side first. You'll notice under the tractor, there's splines that match up with this that are going to match to the splines at the front of the tractor. And then back here, this is the tractor side. You know it's the tractor side because it has this collar. So to put it on, you're going to pull this collar back, push it into the tractor, and then release, and then you're going to pull back to make sure it's on. You can see the splines in there. They're only one pattern. So that's going to match up with the mid PTO of the tractor. It's much easier to put this side on first, so we'll do that. This is, again, much easier with 2 people because then you can have one person hold it and then one person match it up to the mid PTO. So you will put it on, and then as you're pushing forward, you pull back on the collar. Then sometimes you have to spin the PTO shaft so the splines match up because there's really only a couple of ways that it will fit on. So there we go. There it's on now. And then when you're putting on PTO shafts, whether that be a snowblower or mower, make sure you always pull back on the shaft because that's the last thing you want to have happen is for that to be disconnected and you not realize. Go to spin up your snowblower and then that shaft flies off and causes a ton of damage. So now once you have the PTO shaft and everything on the tractor, you're gonna drive forward, Mason's gonna drive forward, and you'll see kind of where you wanna hook. And when he drives forward, you're gonna notice he wants to hook that part under the catcher on the tractor itself. So he's gonna drive forward. Drive underneath. Yep. And then once it's up in the air, he'll turn off the tractor. Once the tractor's off, then we're just gonna release the pins. So there's 2 gold pins on either side of this blower. You just pull it back and then they just snap into place. And now your blower is mounted to the tractor. You can just give it a little shake. You wanna hear that click. So if it doesn't actually go in, you can just give it a little pull and then it'll obviously click in like it did there. So now you're good to hook up your other two hoses. If your snowblower has the hydraulic rotation, you'll have a blue and a red, and that's gonna match to the blue and the red here. They're all flat face couplers, so 1 and 2. There you go, that's on. And then the last thing you'll have to do, if your snowblower has the hydraulic or electric chute rotation, you'll have this that you just clip back together, and there you go. And then the last thing you'll have to do is actually engage your PTO blades. Pull forward. And now that's gonna take a spline and put it onto the gearbox side of the snowblower. It'll mesh the gears and make sure that your blower turns. For whatever reason that it doesn't spin, you may have to spin that shaft underneath for it to actually bind. So now that we have the snowblower back on the tractor, we're actually gonna go through the steps on how to take it off. So you do this in the spring when you're looking to put your loader on, your mower on. So Mason's gonna give me a hand here again, taking it off. So the first step you're gonna do is you're gonna actually disconnect these two gold pins. There's one on my side, one on Mason's side. Pull back. So now that they're disconnected, the blower is actually disconnected from the tractor itself. And then this lever, again, push forward, pull back. So make sure it's pulled back so that the PTO is disengaged. So Mason's gonna hop up on the tractor and then start it up and then drop the blower. And he's gonna wait right there. So then from here, we're gonna disconnect the hoses that power the chute rotation of the blower. We're also gonna disconnect the electric connector for the front. So as always, when you're disconnecting hydraulic hoses, make sure you play around with the loader stick a bit to relieve the pressure. So the first clip here, if you have the electric chute deflector, it'll be right there. So you just push in and then pull back. So that just disconnects like that. And then you're gonna come back here to your hydraulic fittings. Each one is color coded. You just pull them back. And then 2, 3, and then 4 right there. So now that all the fittings are off, you're actually completely disconnected from the blower setup. So now there's a cotter pin over on Mason's side over there that he's gonna pull out. There's a gold bar that comes through the middle. So this is kind of where it's a little bit easier with two people because Mason can give it a little kick through, yeah, and force it through. And then you just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle it out. So once that gold pin is out, then the actual PTO harness is off of it. So now Mason and I were able to lift it off the front of the tractor. So now, again, easier with two people, but one person can do it. You just pull off the front K-connect. And then there you go. The front blower and harness is off. The last thing you're gonna have to do though is get underneath the tractor and disconnect the PTO shaft from the front of the blower. So now Mason's gonna reach underneath the tractor and disconnect it from the mid PTO. So you just pull back on the collar there, and then that PTO shaft will come right off. So if you've never done one of these before, you can see the collar right there. It goes back and forth. So that's how you put it on and take it off, and then that's the locked position. You can see the splines inside. That's gonna match up with the splines on the mid PTO as well. So now you have the three pieces of the blower. You have your PTO shaft, you have the K-Connect subframe there that hooks onto the blower, and then the snowblower itself is all sitting there. And now you're ready to put on your front loader, put on your mower deck, or whatever summer attachments that you might have to use. So that wraps up today's video. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. If you have any comments or questions down below on how to take on or off a front snowblower, feel free to leave them down below. And if you need help with parts, sales, or service, give us a call at 613-225-0555. Thank you.